Welcome back to the Mina Show featuring Lenny. Special Thanksgiving preview / Monday Night Football recap edition. This week we are foregoing winners and woofs to preview the Thanksgiving slate of games. And then later in this week with Ben Solek, I will preview the rest of the week 13 games. Whew, crazy. And we're doing Thanksgiving part because the games are awesome. Like every single Thanksgiving game is good. When's the last time that happened?
It's perfect. I mean, it's happened more and more recently because the Lions have started to become good. It's like we used to always have to watch the Lions who were not good, and the Cowboys are interesting this year, and they're good now, it feels like. So, yeah, those are always the Thanksgiving games, right?
Joe Burrow playing is also adds an extra layer of intrigue. We will talk about Monday Night Football, not at great length, because it was not a good game. Unless you're I saw Jason Accordy on the timeline. This game is great. The DBs are loving it.
Yeah.
I do think, so we'll talk about the Panthers in a second. Panthers affirming my season-long stance of not trying to predict anything about the Carolina Panthers week to week. I think the Niners, though, are worth talking about first, and well, obviously they won. I think worth asking you a question, and it's the question on everybody's minds after Brock Purdy threw 3 interceptions. Poor Brock Purdy, by the way. He Monday Night Football has just not been kind to him. They were putting up some of his numbers. He's had just some real stinkers. You remember the Ravens game a few years ago? So the Niners are 8-4 though, and the question, and you know this is what's coming, is should they stick with Brock Purdy? Because undeniably the offense looked better with Mac Jones. It just did. It 100% did. So you go first and I'll give you my thoughts, because watching back the Purdy interceptions, I have some thoughts on what might be going on there.
Yeah. So it doesn't, I think, first of all, I'm surprised at how competitive, I guess, this 49ers team is, considering all the injuries on the defensive side of the ball. I thought the Purdy question wasn't going to be a question. The Purdy Mac Jones question wasn't going to be a question, because it wasn't like Mac Jones was unbelievable, but he was good in there. And also, I figured this team would start to fall apart defensively and not be in the hunt. So in a very difficult NFC, they're still a viable team. I wouldn't consider them a Super Bowl contender, but they're good enough to make the playoffs, and then anything can happen. And then that's why this question becomes a lot more difficult, because they're going to have to win by slim margins. And what you can do, actually, considering what Purdy's history is as kind of, I don't want to call him a gunslinger, but Purdy's a confident guy who throws with anticipation, throws blind, openly talks about throwing blind into spots that he can't see, but he anticipates them being open. Those are some of the values that's made him overachieve his late round drafting status. So I like to believe that he has built up enough credibility that you would stick with him. It doesn't seem like a realistic question to me. I could make an argument for going to Mac Jones. I mean, I just kind of did, is the different types of quarterbacks that they are when you don't have a slim margin. But you could also make the argument the other way, is you got to have a risk taker at quarterback if the margins are going to be slim.
I think that if they were to go back to Mac Jones, the justification that they would use, and I say justification, I think there might be some legitimacy to this, is that Purdy's not right. Because all 3 interceptions were inaccurate passes, and he was floating them up there, and he threw a few of them. It wasn't even just, and he did last week as well. And I think if they can say there's something about his lower body right now that's leading to him not to throwing these ducks, which is, that you're shaking your head that's not it's a real thing. It's a thing.
No, I'm sorry. I'm not shaking my head saying it's not a real thing. Okay. I'm shaking my head. So, yeah, one thing. First of all, in Purdy's defense, I'd say all 3 of them weren't about accuracy. The second J.C. Horn one, where he helped off of coverage, that to me felt like just a great J.C. Horn play that I would when he came from the backside. You think that was accuracy?
Oh, you're talking about the third one. Or the third, no, you're right. That one was, the first 2 were the dogs. Yeah.
The first 2 were behind them, inaccurate, bad passes. Brock Purdy is not a great arm strength guy. He can't afford to do that, which is why he throws anticipation. The reason why I'm shaking my head is I hear you also managing Brock Purdy's confidence while you're making this pitch. And that's what I was shaking my head about, is because no matter how hard you try, there will be no managing it. Like,
Right. But
so
yeah.
I think that's why I'd be hesitant, is because you are, no matter what justification you give, you're benching your franchise quarterback that you just paid for a guy that you just signed. And if it gives you a better chance this year, that's fine, but there will be ramifications going forward.
Yeah. I guess, I do think that the injury thing is real, though, because Brock Purdy, it's always been, you alluded to this, a criticism of his game that he will put the ball in harm's way a bit more than other Shanahan. Well, not Jimmy Garoppolo, but that's, I would say, countered by the fact that he has playmaking ability outside of structure, which Mac Jones doesn't have, and the last few years, an ability and willingness to push the ball downfield in a way that other Shanahan quarterbacks haven't. So I guess what I'm saying is, if he can't push the ball downfield right now, I think it is completely fair for them to say, "Hey, man, you're just not right yet." And I hear you're saying, like, it is a benching or whatever, but I personally think there would be some legitimacy to that, especially the way this Niners offense is built right now. Like, there's, well, we don't need to talk about whatever the hell's going on with Brandon Ayuk, but this offense is built at the moment to be like a 10 to 20 yard offense and short passes to McCaffrey. It's where they had success against a Carolina defense that didn't have their linebackers, very obviously. Like, there wasn't, guys were open on, so it wasn't like, oh, I shouldn't have thrown, some of those balls, whatever. But my point is, like, this offense can run in the Mac Jones style and be successful because of the skill players and because of the run game when things are clicking. So it is undeniably at the moment inferior right now, unless Purdy's health does improve. And maybe it'll improve, and maybe he will get better. Maybe he'll be able to put a little more oomph on some of those passes.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's two conversations that need to be had. You need to have the first conversation that you're having first, is like, is this the smart thing to, like, make us better today and tomorrow? And then there is like interpersonal, like, psychology management conversation, a team management conversation to be had going forward, because we can't pretend as if you're dealing with robots. And maybe Brock Purdy, given that he was Mr. Irrelevant, is more suited to deal with this level of slight. But if you are improving your chances this year, you are creating some other dynamic that you're going to have to deal with at some point in time. Is it worth it?
I mean, Mac Jones he's going to get a deal this year.
He's got one more, doesn't he? Doesn't he have one more?
Oh God, is he on
I think he has one more.
Okay, well, someone's gonna try to trade for him then.
Right.
And that is also going to be an interesting discussion for. He dramatically. I don't think I've really talked about it on the podcast. He really exceeded my expectations. I think he showed a lot of growth this year in the Kyle Shanahan school for wayward boys. So I don't know. I don't think this is a simple one for San Francisco, because they're 8-4. So to hit the other side of the defense, pardon me, a little bit though, the Panthers defense, and now JC Horn is hurt, and they got the Rams, I think, next week. No, yeah, they do. Good luck without JC Horn. Good Lord. JC Horn's so good too. Yeah. I feel like this earlier season after the Saints game, I slandered him a little bit because he felt down. I think, like, yeah, Purdy threw up some ducks, but also, like, credit to Giro Evro's unit, down all their starting linebackers, outmanned. I thought, like, a lot of unknown names made good plays in the red zone. They were tackling hard. I think they had, like, it didn't feel like when you watch the Niners and guys are running around wide open and getting a million yards after the catch. I think, like, this has been an impressive unit, given that it's obviously a rebuilding one, and Evro deserves a ton of credit for that, even if, Purdy threw a couple up for them.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, they've been playing well. It felt like, and maybe this is always the case in the NFL, but a lot of teams, and again, this year it feels like teams are closer, like, to the pack. There aren't, like, a runaway team, with the exception of maybe the Rams. But this weekend, it just felt like a lot of the teams just who may not have fought in the past, like put up real fights, like the Jets against the Ravens after all their players 2 weeks in a row after all their top players got traded away, and the Bengals still struggling and fighting against the Pats, and the Giants had that game won. It's like it's any given Sunday cliche nonsense, but it's nice to see it come to fruition. The games that I thought were going to be bad were good, and maybe we'll get some of that this weekend too.
Okay, so flipping it to the other side, my question for you is this. Are you more impressed with this Robert Saleh coach defense that has managed to talk about Ejiro Evero? I mean, they lose their two best players, two of the most impactful players in the NFL, and they have continued to look competent week after week. In this one, they were dominant. Or do you think it's more about the Bryce Young roller coaster taking another dip? I know it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit of both. I think I come away from this more like interested in the Bryce Young roller coaster than I do in the 49ers defense, because he came off of 400 yards last week, and this defense is of course beatable, but playing well. I'm less surprised by that, because like we've seen it. Like we just watched Evero do it with the other side. Like it's a thing. You play sound, solid defense. You're a well-coached team. It normally happens that way. So like those superstar players, they are the ones who like break games. And like we saw, like I just mentioned, the Jets. Like if you have good, sound, solid coaching and a sound, solid defense, you'll play good enough. Those other special players are the ones that like blow it out of the water. But the thing that was shocking and sad was anytime you get a little chance to get excited about Bryce Young and think that he's going to convince them that he's the answer, you get something like this. And of course, we all know how much those standalone primetime games impact the perception disproportionately. If he had done what he did last week, this week, man, might be looking at extension talks.
I know, you're 100% right. It really does feel, though, and I know I joke about like I ain't touching Panthers games, but like this is why with Young, it's just felt like one step forward, two steps back this season, and this was a major step back. He really struggled in this. He was so rattled by pressure, both real and not, bailing on some pockets, and bad decisions made. The other one, that really bummed me out was like Tedero McMillan has been so good this year, and then he also had a stinker. I mean, he had the
touchdown,
the steam ball, yeah.
But he had a drop, right?
But he had the drop early on, and I don't know. I wouldn't put a lot of this on him, but it was, I don't know. Even like they have a good drive, and I'm watching it, and it's like, okay, cool. They hit the RPO to Coker, and he hits the out to Coker, and everything's going on time. And then again, and then it's another blitz, and throws a pick, and I mean, well, okay. So that one actually, that particular drive, Tedero McMillan got like wildly held, which was a terrible. But okay. I don't think the Panthers, this was not their game. I'm not saying that they lost because of that call where they were driving or whatever, but that was pretty bad. That was like, I mean, he like physically, you rarely see like a hold where the player actually gets yoinked back, and then Jair Brown made the interception. That was like a crazy miss on the part of the refs. So I do want to acknowledge that. I'm
partial to the DBs normally. I refuse I plead the fifth on this particular conversation.
They went away from the run game. Yeah. What do you think about that? Like, did you felt like, because the Niners, I mean, the run defense was good early on, but did you feel like Dave Canales put a little bit too much on Bryce Young's shoulders?
No. I mean, yes, but no. Like, you have to say yes because he obviously couldn't handle it in that spot. But given the situation in the game, the looks that they were receiving, the opportunities that were there, like I think that I got to be honest. I didn't break down the whole like game plan and scheme throughout, but it did not feel like they walked out there and abandoned the run and said, "Hey, get empty and whip it around. We're not going to give you any help." Like that interception in red zone was like that. Felt like the game was over when it happened. Like, on first down, you just got a turnover that put you on the damn 2-yard line or 3-yard line, and you could run it in, and you throw that interception like that. It's hard to find somewhere to point the finger other than the guy who's throwing the pass in that situation.
Really struggled against man coverage, mostly because that was when they blitzed. But yeah, the Niners did sell out to stop the run a decent amount in this one, and he just was not able to punish them for it at all. And, outside of McMillan, it's not like a group of world beaters. I like Coker, but a lot of it you got to really put on the quarterback. It's going to be the NFC. Somebody's got to win the NFC South.
Yeah.
They asked me about it yesterday, and because the Bucs obviously are on this losing streak, and I'm like, they're still the better team, clearly to me. They just don't. They just have like a bunch of injuries, and they face like a really hard schedule over the last few weeks, and they just got. I mean, God, the Rams just did that to the Bucs, but now the Bucs have the Cardinals, the Saints, the Falcons, the Panthers, the Dolphins, the Panthers. So you could easily see them ripping off a bunch of wins. All right. Sorry, Panthers fans. I guess we were optimistic about the defense. J.C. Horn's awesome. Derek Brown's good. They did bottle up Christian McCaffrey a decent amount on the ground. So, I talked about that run defense being improved. But I do think there's going to be difficult conversations to be had about the quarterback position. Let's do the first Thanksgiving game before we take a break. Packers-Lions rematch of week 1 when it looked like the Panthers were going to go, or Packers, pardon me, were going to go like undefeated. Revisiting some of my notes from that game, Jared Goff was absolutely under siege. This was like the, oh my God, they have Micah Parsons game. He averaged 3.3 air yards per attempt. It was mostly just 4-man rush. Goff is coming off of a weird game.
Mm-hmm.
So they beat the Lions because of Jahmyr Gibbs, who we'll get to in a second. That's literally why they beat the Lions. Jahmyr Gibbs.
That's it.
Goff
they beat the Giants, right?
Or the Giants. I'm sorry. The Lions beat the Giants last week. Yeah. It was an insane game. I'm actually like more forgiving of the Lions defense because I think they just ran into like a weirdo Jameis Winston heater game, and it happens. But Goff never looked comfortable to me, and he was really bad under pressure. And going back and watching some of the pressures, Domonique, same issues with interior pressure that we've seen. The guard was getting the left guard, whose name escapes me, he's a backup, was getting his butt kicked by Darius Alexander, actually, and Raheem Nunez-Roches. But also the tackles the Lions have a very good pass rush, but and there were moments too where Goff was so rattled, you could see him just completely bail or throw the ball too quickly. So pressure was a major issue in that one. Is there any reason to believe that the Packers can't do that again in terms of creating a tremendous amount of pressure?
Dan Campbell's taking over the play calling, but there is no reason to believe that they can't do it again. I guess that you scheme away from it, you move the pocket a lot. That's the major criticism, and I think I've made this on your show a couple times of Jared Goff, is like the modern quarterback is more mobile than he is, and he is like a good decision maker most of the time when he's not under pressure, but it does limit what you can do. And it's not even that you need him in the quarterback design run game, but I think moving the pocket would help to get them to slow down the pass rush and to run away from it. And the scrambling would help have defensive ends not want to run past him, those sorts of things. Like, I think that's the biggest hang up for me with dealing with Jared Goff, and like the move. So like, if you remember, I'm trying to think of, like the beginning of the season, remember when Herbert won that game against the Chiefs because Chris Jones did an inside move. And like, there are some quarterbacks for whom you can't do inside moves. And that most quarterbacks in the league, you got to be careful about giving them the edge. And that, like, it just makes it so much more difficult for your tackles if they can go inside, they can go outside, they can take any move that they want. They can blitz completely up the middle. Like, you have to, if you're going to be a quarterback like that, you have to be so precise. Brady-esque is who I would think of. Drew Brees. It's like, we know exactly what you're going to do. I'm going to be ready for it, and I'm going to make the decision quickly. And Jared Goff's not that, and nobody is that, really.
I think the other thing you're seeing defenses do against Goff this year, aside from, just when the offensive line isn't as dominant. And we talked a lot about the interior of the offensive line, but I'm telling you, these tackles, they had a tough one. They're taking away his outlets. Again, like in this Giants game, like you're blitzing Gibbs, which we're seeing teams do more and more off of play action to try to take him out of the play. And he's not a great pass protector. He's good at everything else. He's not a great pass protector. Or you could see them, I noticed this, like
I like
really.
Gibbs better than Montgomery in pass pro, which is a wild take, but
I
I
know.
get it.
No,
Yeah.
I was like literally. I was thinking like, hey, maybe you put in David Montgomery, and then I look back at some of my notes. And I was like, oh no,
Mm-mm,
no, they
mm-mm,
don't. They
mm-mm.
don't have. Um,
Anyway, I'm sorry. I stopped
no,
you
no,
on the
no, no.
train.
This is it's an issue with them. And then the other thing, like Goff really wants to hit those quick hitters off of play action over the middle of the field, and you see defensive linemen knowing that, and like you'll drop a guy to take that away as well. That's the thing. Like it feels right now that like the good defenses kind of have a beat on them. Again, the Giants can't stop outside runs, so that ultimately led to their undoing. But
Mhm.
that brings me to my next concern about Green Bay, which is they've been unbelievable versus runs to the edge versus outside zone. The Packers defense, which was very good week one. Interestingly, Montgomery had a better success against them than Gibbs for this reason.
Mhm.
2.8 yards per carry versus outside zone. That's the lowest in the NFL. And that's a pretty big sample size at this point in the season. So my question for you is, knowing that that's a strength of Green Bay, knowing they're going to try to take away Goff's outlets, what would you do if you're Detroit to mitigate some of this?
All right. So if assume that outside zone's off the table, you're going to get pressures. Like obviously you'll have screen game involved in it. I think honestly, what I would look at is max protection, big shots to JMO, is find these isolations because we've noticed throughout this season, and I think it might have been the Monday Night Crew was pointing out how confidently the corners for Green Bay are playing because they know how aggressive the pass rush is or how effective the pass rush is. So I think that's what I would try to do is like play action shots and I have a couple like go-to kind of things, and one of them that I'm sure you've heard me say before is like you get teams to stop blitzing by hitting a big play on them. If you hit a 5 yard, like if you just survive the blitz, there's no reason for them to stop blitzing. They're going to keep blitzing you because you are eventually they feel like they're going to get the play. So I think that's what I'd be looking for is create the matchup. If you can find the blitz, create the matchup where you can have a short pass to Gibbs in a one-on-one situation if you're doing some sort of zone blitz or simulated pressure, and let Gibbs in the open field against someone else, or block it all up, two-man route, J-Mo on the deep corner with a deep cross from St. Brown.
Your biggest matchup advantage in this game is your receivers against their
Mhm.
corners. So the question is, and you cut right to it, how do you take advantage of that matchup if you have a disadvantage on the offensive line? And yeah, I think there's two ways you can do that. One of which is you max protect, and I think that's the direction they'll go in because they don't run empty with Jared Goff like at all.
Yeah.
I looked up, I was curious. I was like, when was the last time I saw Jared Goff? According to Next Gen or True Media, this year he has 9 dropbacks out of empty, which is so low. Yeah, I think that's something you got to do. I think in terms of the run game, buddy, I do think like you want to try to move bodies on the inside. I would try to find ways to run between the tackles, and historically that has been more Montgomery than Gibbs. I'll be very interested. You talked about the blitz. I'll be very interested in seeing because the first time they came around, Green Bay just said we'll rush with 4. But when Green Bay rushes with 4, they move their guys around. Last week they did the demonic sign of the devil with Micah Parsons behind the nose tackle. Wouldn't be surprised if we see that again, by the way, because of the interior. So you get one-on-ones on the outside because they wad things up on the inside. I also feel like they could do that too because again, Jared Goff loves throwing over the middle of the field. But if you've got Micah Parsons getting a running start into the A-gap, like he's less likely to do that. So yeah, you just got to find a way to buy time for him. I mean, it's tough. On the flip side, so I have a question for you, which is whether or not if you're Detroit, you try to blitz Jordan Love.
Yeah.
He has been the best quarterback against the blitz this year by a lot of metrics. You saw that this week in admittedly a close game, but he hit some big plays with pressure bearing down on him, including one hilarious Kobe moment. The first time these teams played, he destroyed the blitz against them. He hit 2 of his biggest plays when the Lions send pressure. They have a different receiving group, obviously, now. There's no Jaden Reed and Tucker Kraft in the mix. But it feels like they're starting to attack downfield again. And I would say that spells trouble for Detroit if they send pressure.
Yeah, I don't imagine that. I mean, I assume that they learned their lesson, and that's not the way that they're going to approach this game. I think you're reliant. The problem is they are such a
We do what we do.
yeah, they're such a we do what we do type of team, and they also like. Yeah, to your point, no matter what happens, injury concerns or whatever, they're going to do what they do. And we've been so like pleased, I think, for the most part, with the injuries at secondary where people continue to step up. But to start it, the starting point of this secondary is it's not a tremendously good coverage, like great. I know they have good safeties, but just lockdown man coverage is not something that, despite the fact that they try to do it, it's not something that they do incredibly well. Aiden Hutchinson is the key. Like, is he gonna and McNeil like disruptive up front is the only way I think that they have success doing this. And they've put some tweaks in. I think it was the Commanders game where I saw them doing something that they were playing like cover 3 with the middle safety, playing like a aggressive, like a robber style technique, where I think they might be willing to take those chances. And because oftentimes the middle safety is just like a deterrent, like you'll leave him back there. No one ever really like throws at him. He doesn't do anything, but being back there is enough to scare people away. So like I saw them activate this middle safety into coverage against the Commanders. And it's a riskier thing to do because if you're in cover 3 and there's no one back there, then deep shots. But maybe they'll do something like that and lean more into the cover 3.
Where do you think Jordan Love ranks in QBR against man coverage this year?
High. I'll give him
1.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's very unusual to have such a bad matchup in your division.
I know it's because like the game's in Detroit.
Yeah.
But the more I thought about it, I think here's what I just to go off of the defense, because I'm still a believer in the Lions defense.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I know I'm a broken record with this with Green Bay, and Green Bay had success running against Minnesota, but I still think you're better off if you're Detroit if they hand the ball. Your run defense against their rushing attack is a matchup advantage for Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to entice them to hand the football off and then play coverage, I think. This, I'm still not convinced this Green Bay offense has yards after the catch ability right now without Reed and without Kraft. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do play a little bit more zone than they normally do and just try to get Green Bay to run the ball.
Can I just have something just popped into my head? I know we weren't talking. We already moved on from the Lions offense, but I want to throw this in the mix also. I wouldn't be afraid to run the ball on, if they're planning to be aggressive on 4th down, which I think they are. I wouldn't be afraid to run the ball on like obvious passing downs to get to a more manageable situation if you're going to go for it anyway, or if you don't get much and you choose to punt. Like, I'd just be terrified to have that offensive line try to hold up in the way that they tried to in the first game when they got behind early and obvious passing downs with a quarterback that can't move, that gets a little antsy and throws it to the other team. So that's not the answer to all of this, but like sometimes you can get people running past the run play on 3rd and 8 and get yourself to a 4th and 3. And I actually feel more confident about converting a 4th and 3 at the middle of the field than I do about dropping back on 3rd and 8 and possibly getting a sack or interception.
You need to create some hesitation on the part of these Green Bay linebackers, right. Especially because there'll be moments when they blitz them because teams have had success doing that against Detroit too. But they do have to find a way to run the ball. I think just under center outside zone to Jahmyr Gibbs is not it against this defense. Yeah. I'm taking Green Bay here, but it's close. I don't know. Yeah. We'll see.
I like Green Bay too.
It's in Detroit. All right, let's take a quick break, come back, and talk about the other 2 games. All right, we're back. Chiefs, Cowboys. Both teams coming off of very impressive wins. Cowboys defense has been very good post-trade, but one could argue that they haven't been tested. Chiefs offense coming off of a very impressive finish versus Indianapolis. Let's start there. So the Chiefs ran the ball really well on Indianapolis. Last 2 weeks versus the Raiders and the Eagles, the Cowboys have gone from, before the trade for Williams, 30th in yards before contact per carry to first league-wide. That said, the Raiders are maybe the worst run game in the NFL, and the Eagles not much better this year. So I guess my question for you is, do you think if you're the Chiefs, you have success running the ball on this team, or are you scared of this new look Cowboys defense at all?
I mean, I think, yeah, it's a fun. I hadn't even considered the predicament that the Chiefs are in, because they ran the ball well last week and won, and they've been being criticized for not running the ball, and they're going up against a team that we're not sure is. I mean, we know they're better at run defense, but we're not sure is good at run defense. You obviously, I think, have to test them, but I'd be concerned if I were the Chiefs with trailing, like with the whole game. I'd be concerned about what we're going to do to stop the opposing offense. So I think you certainly would try, but I think that they would feel much more confident trying to attack through the air, because the Eberflus system is much more zone focused, and Patrick Mahomes and those receivers and Kelsey are.
I'm playing man. I'm playing band.
Yeah.
You brought me to my next point here. So last week they played zone. It was the Eagles, but before that, you'd seen a little bit more man coverage from the Eberflus, which, to your point, surprising, because that's not what they have done historically. So the Colts played a ton of man, which we thought they would, because they traded for Sauce and everything, and it was good until the very end when the dam broke. I don't care. I know you just saw Rashee Rice running away and Worthy hitting the deep over out of the bunch. I don't care. If you're Dallas, to me, your best chance in this thing is Quinnen Williams. No Trey Smith.
Yeah.
Big injury.
Yeah.
That's the Chiefs' best guard. You have a really good interior passer. Your pass rush right now is great. I really believe that. I don't know about the Chiefs' Cowboys run defense. I don't know about their coverage, but I know that pass rush is very improved. And I know they can win on the interior. Your worst nightmare, what you cannot do if you're Dallas, and I feel very strongly, if you sit back in zone, they're just going to boom, boom, carve you up. Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice, all day long. You have to disrupt these receivers to the line of scrimmage. You must.
It felt like the Eagles were doing it at times. I know that their offense fell off a cliff, but watching how big those holes were in the zone when they kept throwing those in-breaking routes to A.J. Brown throughout the first, I just had, imagine if Mahomes was doing that. That is not going to work. The way that, it's just, we've talked about this a bunch of times, is how I think man coverage is going to be, ability to play tight man coverage is one of the stories of the season so far. And you have to be able to do that. And I think this Chiefs team is a team where you have to be able to, the best team that we saw play against them was when they seemed relatively healthy was the Broncos. And the Broncos were so man heavy, doubled, and dared them to go deep. And I think that's what the Cowboys need to do also.
You got to give that pass rush a chance. Because I guarantee you, Chiefs are coming into this one. But I would be shocked if Mahomes doesn't have a very low time to throw, knowing that Smith is out and Quinnen Williams is there. So you got to give them a chance. I'm not saying it'll work.
Yeah.
Because you saw at the end of the game, the Chiefs still have their fastball against man coverage. They just haven't been able to find. They did some great. I was looking at one of the things I also liked, by the way, that they have not done against man coverage. They actually hit Kelsey on a deep ball, and Kelsey quietly looks really good. I feel like no one's talking about this. He's moving really well downfield, so they did look a lot better against it.
The other strategy that I'm thinking of is, it's not, of course you want to play tight man coverage and see if you can stop them, but it's win in the red zone is don't give them explosive plays. try to stop them, obviously. If you get, so like, essentially is, if you want to be zone heavy, it's, we'll line up and play our zone. We don't give up explosive play. We're going to hope or wait until we get an early down win or a first down win. We get an incomplete pass because an errant throw on first down, and then we try to win right there. Otherwise, we let them march down the field, make them earn every step, and then the red zone is when you have to win, when you're eliminating the deep threat. It's easier to play man down there because you don't have to sink on anything. So I think that's going to be a deciding factor for me in this game is who's able to score touchdowns. I don't feel confident with either defense against this opposing offense. It's who's going to score 6 and who's going to score 3.
I was just about to look up the Chiefs' red zone numbers because
Yeah.
what you're describing is very much the way, obviously, teams have approached the Chiefs for, it's like, just kind of like the bend, don't break, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like this year they're
They've been
probably
good.
pretty.
I mean,
well, let me pull it up, actually. I'm like,
they broke out all their wing T nonsense last week and that stuff. Yeah.
Actually, they're not that good. They're just average at red zone rate this year. So let me do it post Rashee Rice. Since week 8, still average. No, that might, you're not, below average in the last few weeks. So yeah, that's definitely.
The only reason why I would bring that up is because you do not necessarily, I don't know, you don't want to open up these big plays.
Yeah.
And if you're not a great man coverage team, and like those explosive plays could crush you.
Yeah. Not right. It's kind of like, do you go for the 3 and outs and risk explosive plays, but hope that you can get some negative plays?
Right.
Or do you let them? I think the thing I don't like about playing zone, though, is the clock aspect of it, too. And like, you want your offense to get a chance against this Chiefs defense because
that's a good point.
They got a good shot against it.
Yeah.
So Dak coming off of an awesome performance, George Pickens going crazy. There's a lot of things I like for the Cowboys on this side of the ball in their matchup. One of which is Dak has just been an assassin on play action this year. Guess what his QBR for play action is?
84.
98. It's the best in the NFL. And this last week against Philadelphia, he went 9 for 11 for 174 yards. The Chiefs defense has been abysmal against play action. Some of that is dead last in yards per play, dead last in EPA. Some of that is because if they've given up a few big plays, they're not as bad in success rate. But the big plays have been there, and I think the big plays, we'll get to some of the matchups, will be on the table. The Chiefs pass rush looked finally rejuvenated last week, but I feel like Dallas's offensive line has been pretty impressive, honestly. So I like Dak's chances in this one, especially if they use play fakes. Yeah,
I do too. Like, I don't feel all that confident in either defense in these matchups, honestly.
I mean, so my favorite, every Cowboys game, you got to look at the corners. Jalen Watson and Trent McDuffie are both really good. So the Chiefs actually do have good outside corners. Slot is where they're weak. It was Chris Rowland Wallace who got hurt, but he was the most targeted player. The offenses aren't stupid, right? They know who to go after. Chamari Connor, who's his safety has been slow in the past. They go after. I think this is a big slam game, weirdly, maybe more than Pickens if they can get those matchups. But I like their chances through the air against this Chiefs team. I'm still not going to take him because I know we were like, they should play man. I think that the Chiefs offense will have success as well. And I think the Cowboys defense will come back to earth a little bit after the last couple of weeks. But I do think that the Cowboys offense could have success here.
Yeah. No, I'm rooting for the Cowboys. That will be fun. But I think you're probably right. The Chiefs will probably win this game. I just find another reason to give us one more week of relevant Cowboys because they've actually been one of the most fun teams to watch all season long. And I would love for them to have more meaningful weeks of football. If they lose, I think they go down to 4%, their playoff probability. Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, I believe so. And I think if they win, they don't go up super high. I think a lot of playoff probability take into account like their season-long stats and like how good or bad they actually are as a team, which is not fair if we are to believe that the trade deadline moves actually materially change how good this team is.
I legitimately believe this defense has improved a great deal. Not just Quinnen, but, DeMarcus Overshown coming back, all of that. I just don't think they're like the best run defense in football. That's all I'm saying. I think the Cowboys, if they do go under center, will have some success running the football. And I think that, or Chiefs, pardon me. And I think that they'll be able to beat man coverage if they play it. And I also am not confident they will. I wouldn't be surprised if they take the approach, the bend don't break, in which case Kelsey, go crazy. All right. Bengals, Ravens. Ooh, the night game. Usually a night game is when I like to just kind of zone out. I feel like there's, just sort of like, give me one game. This is not a zone out. This is a very big game.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow is playing. Put a pin in that. Let's talk about Lamar Jackson because he's not been good. So it's funny because there's a few things that jump out to me. And I was kind of digging through some of the numbers to see if they reflect that. So one of which, and this is very obvious to anyone, he's just not the same with the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
Since he's come back, has actually led all quarterbacks in carries, but some of that is just him holding the ball and scrambling 2 yards, whatever. But he only has 2 runs over 10 yards and only 5 first downs on 25 carries. He's averaging 2.8 yards per carry. Doesn't look as, I would say it's less like speed and it's more like his elusiveness is not there right now.
Mm.
He, I think, has a new injury.
Yeah.
It's
the toe now. It's knee, ankle, hamstring, and now toe.
I could use this to teach Nino body parts. Knee, hamstring,
ankle, toe.
Not funny. That's the thing Nino says now. It's not funny. It's like his favorite phrase when I try to do stuff. He goes, "That's not funny." I'm like, everybody's a critic.
That's from you.
Okay.
I assume he stole that from you. Like that. It sounds like something.
Like me saying it to Nick.
Yeah, that's what I mean, you come to realize that. I'm sure you realize that as a parent, all the things that your kids say or do, they got from one of their parents, most likely.
See, his first time he says EPA, we'll know for sure. Okay, so there's that, right? But, and this is what I want to talk to you about. He also has been bad in the pocket, just normal, typical Lamar Jackson throws. According to FDN Fantasy, this is what I was really curious to see because it felt right. On his first read in the pocket, he is dead last in accuracy since coming back. So I went back and watched all of his incompletions from the Jets game this morning, just trying to understand, because this is a quarterback we've seen so much of. He's been so accurate. Last year, he was unbelievably accurate on quick game right now. And my theory, Domonique, there's a couple things. I think if you could take Zay Flowers out of the game, they're having trouble beating man coverage, and that is part of it. But it's not like guys are dropping Lamar dimes. He is missing throws. My theory is the first thing is feeding into the other. Mm-hmm. I feel like he knows he can't escape sacks, and it's affecting his accuracy as a pocket passer as well, because his whole timing, the whole operation is off for him right now. What do you think?
No, I mean, I think that's definitely a possible theory, but it could also be the same thing that you said for Brock Purdy, is that the injury can affect your mechanics and affect your accuracy also. So it doesn't have to be the 2 degrees away that caused this. It could just be a direct impact on his mechanics and you compensating for those things. When I work out now, always the knee that I had repaired feels great. It's because I don't use it. I end up using my foot on that side and my hip on that side always hurt. And I feel like that's something that we don't take into account, is when someone has something that's not feeling right, they can compensate and make it look good, but then you aren't doing the same mechanics that you've always done. You've done something slightly different. And in this game of inches, of course, those little tweaks can change how a ball travels.
There should be a get right opportunity.
Yeah.
Trey Hendrickson isn't playing. This has been circulated quite a lot in the NFL commentary community, but the Bengals stats against tight ends are hilarious. And as a Hunter Henry fantasy manager who got to benefit from that this last week, they are making every tight end in the NFL look like George Kittle. They are allowed 90 yards per game to tight ends this year, which is dead last. The next closest is Jacksonville at 74. That's the biggest. That's 60-yard gap. The Ravens 12 personnel has not gotten going this season. This is it, man. You got get it going here because it'll never be easier than it is this week to throw to your tight ends.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Mark Andrews is the all-time leading receiver, right? Didn't he break that record this year for the Ravens? Something like that. So, yeah, they are well-suited to attack that way if Lamar can execute. Like, they've always done well against. If you ever see any, Lamar Jackson highlight tape, it's going to be a lot of striped helmets in that thing. What they're going to do with Chase, I think, is interesting, too, on the other side, especially with it's not getting much conversation, I think, in the general public. But, Kyle Hamilton left that game, and he is very important to what the Ravens do. And he was limping. It looked like he won't be back this week, it would appear.
He might. So he's at 11 minutes ago. He's at practice. I just Googled it.
Wow. Yeah. Whenever I see he couldn't, it seemed like high ankle sprain. What was the diagnosis?
It was ankle. You're right.
Yeah.
They just said ankle. It said, okay, so Ravens video showed Kyle Hamilton. This is it. If I actually think this is what swings the game for me. If he doesn't play, I'm taking the Bengals.
Wow.
He did practice. He has a chance. Harbaugh said on Monday he has a chance to play. Pro Football Talk says his presence on Tuesday makes that a better bet. Okay. But even if he does play, he is banged up. That was going to be my question for you, though, because there's no T. Higgins.
Yeah.
So the Ravens run defense since the trade deadline, second in EPA per play, second in opponent QBR. Two things. They played the Bears, Dolphins, Vikings, Browns, Jets.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Bears, Dolphins, hilariously, the team that is first in both those metrics, by the way, is the Chargers. So it's like they traded players in both defenses. It's a fascinating trade. But I don't think they've been tested by quarterback play the way that they will this week. So my question for you is: there's no Higgins. They also Draymond Jones has quietly been getting after the quarterback. After I poo-poo, I was like, I'm not even going to talk about that trade. Well, he's been good. So my question for you is: how do you approach Jamar Chase? Because again, no Higgins, pass rush has been better, defense has been better. What's your plan here?
Yeah, I mean, I think to the degree that it's possible to take Jamar Chase out of the game, you take him out of the game. I'd go high-low with the safety tilted that way, especially with Higgins out. I dare you to go in that direction. Jamar Chase is going to make the plays that he's going to make, but it doesn't feel like they have. And Joe Burrow is just coming back. I assume that is not going to be completely flip a switch. There'll be some challenges there. He's going to be relying on, I think Chase, even with the game that he missed because of suspension, is the most targeted player in the NFL. So I don't think there's a hard conversation of what you need to address. And when they play him, he gets busy. They know who he is. They know that he needs to be stopped, and you need to force them to find some other way to take you down.
Yeah, I mean, historically, the Ravens defense has always played a lot of zone. Obviously, they play a lot of zone generally, but against the Bengals, it's a lot of split safety. And they do that when Higgins is on the field, and there's no Higgins here. So I think you're gonna see a lot of attention to him. I think if you're Cincinnati, you should be able to run the ball in Baltimore. The run game has quietly been awesome for Cincinnati. It's funny the Ravens run game. I mean, I don't know where they are in DVOA. It's not great, but the Bengals are 6th in EPA per play, 5th in DVOA. They even ran the ball well on New England, which is a very good run defense. And I think you're going to do that to try to alleviate some pressure on Burrow. So I think they'll be able to move the ball in Baltimore. I would be a little bit. I believe the improvements I've seen from this Ravens defense. I think we've got, even if it's come against inferior competition.
But Kyle.
No, but yes, it's massive. That's what I was just about to say. If he doesn't play, or if he is seriously hampered, I don't feel good about it. So especially
love Kyle Hamilton.
in both the pressure.
So fun to watch him play. He does everything so well. so big and fast and strong and quick and smart. And if you take him out of the defense, like it changes things. And even if he's out there, like to the point that I was making before, he was limping. Like he may play, but he's not the same version of the player that you would expect him to be. And that hurts this defense tremendously.
And I do want to say about the Bengals defense, they're not as horrible as they were in the beginning of the year. I've been watching against Drake May. Like they've got guys making plays out there. The tackles are decent. I just think like it's kind of an unknown, but it really is like, is Lamar, when does he start looking more like Lamar? Right. It's hard to know because I think that it's been such a factor. This is a really hard one for me to pick because of that. Like, if you could tell me that Lamar is another week, I don't know about toe, but like another week healthier and he's more confident throwing, they should be able to handle this team. They should be able to handle this defense. The tight ends should go crazy. But there's that, and there's the Kyle Hamilton aspect. Obviously, we haven't seen Joe Burrow coming back. I think I'm still going to pick the Ravens, but it's conditional.
No, I think I could get behind this concept that it feels like kind of more of a toss-up, but like the Ravens are in that situation. I'm going to go with the organization and the team that I trust more and the players that I trust more. So I think you're right. Like I'd go Ravens.
I would like to make one more complaint about the Ravens offense. I hate it so much when they run inside the 10-yard line. It always looks bad. So I pulled this up out of curiosity. Oh, wow. They're 8th in DVOA total running, but 27th in success rate. That's a weird. Because they've had a few explosive plays. Yeah. Okay. But inside the 10-yard line, they are 29th in EPA per play and 26th in success rate this year. So that backs up my feelings. And I think Lamar not being a same threat is a big factor there. More Keaton Mitchell, man. Every time he gets the ball in his hands, it looks good.
It took a couple years after the ACL thing, but he's so explosive part of that offense. And it feels weird to want less Derrick Henry, but Keaton Mitchell does have quite an explosive impact. And that red zone stuff is, again, it's tied to Lamar. Like them being bad in the red zone is probably one of the stories of their offensive struggles.
All right, that's it for Thanksgiving. I'm excited. Domonique, what's your schedule this week for?
Yeah, I got my show. We're doing one. I guess it comes out on Wednesday. That's all we got. That's all we're doing for the rest of the week because I got turkeys to fry.
You're frying turkeys?
Yeah, every year. That's me. I fry a couple turkeys.
How's it go?
Oh, it's great. It's not that hard. I mean, they're brining right now. My birds are brining right now. Got to brine them things. Get the flavor. You little brine, little wet brine, then put a dry brine on, and then let it dry out. There you go. Dump it in, go out back, get that water boiling. Not water, that grease boiling. Drop them birds in there. It's delicious.
So Nick does a bosom on Thanksgiving. I was planning on making a pie, but as of Tuesday, I have not decided what kind of pie I'm going to make. I think maybe my listeners know that I do like to bake, so I will take votes for pie in the comments section. I am a fan of all pies, but pecan is my favorite Thanksgiving pie, but I am open to suggestions. So let me know if you guys think I should make a certain. I was looking at a pumpkin cheesecake recipe that kind of looked interesting.
Sweet potato cheesecake. If you're going to go sweet potato cheesecake, not pumpkin cheesecake. Like it's
cultural.
Yeah. You're with us.
All right, guys. Happy Thanksgiving. Well, no, wait, I can't say that because I'm going to be back because I made Ben Solak work tomorrow.
Cool.
Ben, Lenny, and I will be back to talk about all of the Week 13 games that we have not gotten to, and that will be out, I guess, on Thanksgiving. So you can listen to it and avoid your family.